Hello, Georgia. There's been a lot of talk about buying and selling insurance over state lines. Several of my opponents are touting this as a way to introduce more competition and lower rates. I'm a huge proponent of competition, but my friends, insurance is not a commodity. So buying and selling insurance over state lines will not reduce your rates. Buying and selling insurance over state lines in order to increase competition and reduce rates makes a great sounding soundbite. But in practical application, it isn't a real solution. I prefer to concentrate on positions that will seriously improve things. Let me explain further. Point number one. One candidate is touting that competition is the bedrock of the Republican Party and we could knock 25% off the cost of health insurance by crossing state lines. I have yet to hear an answer to where that competition will come from or how exactly it will knock anything, much less 25% off the cost of insurance for Georgians. All of the carriers in the health insurance market who have the capability of selling insurance in other states are already doing so. There are just no other carriers out there to come into the market. If you have a Humana policy, you're buying from a Kentucky company. If you have a Starmark policy, you're buying from an Indiana company. If you have a Kaiser policy, you're buying from a California company with a Georgia entity. Only Blue Cross and regional carriers are truly state-contained now. Point number two. If insurance is cheaper in Iowa or South Carolina, I should be able to buy it there. This position completely ignores the fact that premiums are based on what the industry calls geo-rating. In other words, just as with your car insurance, if you're in Atlanta, you're not going to get the same rate that someone in Moultrie will. It's extremely unlikely that any change in the insurance law would take away the right to rate by risk area. And even if they did, that would raise rates for the half that are now in the lower half. You don't buy your car insurance across state lines if you buy from a Texas company. You are buying a Georgia policy regulated and rated for Georgia from a Texas company. I have asked more than 100 insurance professionals about this very issue. They are emphatic that going across state lines will not lower rates and reduce costs. Point number three. Georgia is approximately 17th lowest in health insurance cost as shown by the America's Health Insurance Plan's 2008 premium survey. So we would be one of the places rates would go up, not down, if we ignored geo-rating. You can find this report on my website. Point number four. Suggesting that people go to Iowa or South Carolina to buy their insurance sends business out of Georgia, thereby costing Georgia revenue. See my other video on premium taxes to address this issue. Sending business out of Georgia will also cost some Georgia citizens their jobs. I believe it makes more sense to concentrate on areas that will make Georgia the most favorable environment in the United States for a consumer to buy insurance. Point number five. The candidate who has been the most vocal about buying and selling insurance across state lines has begun to change his position. I have been pointing out all along that the only way to regulate interstate insurance sales is through federal legislation and oversight. Because of this, my opponent is now suggesting that we form alliances with contiguous states, allowing regulation to stay in-state. That position shift alone indicates he's starting to see some of the issues involved. Point number six. Let's say this ideal scenario developed and could go buy insurance in the cheapest state in the Union, currently Washington State, at their rates. If everyone in the country started doing that, and why wouldn't they, how long do you think those rates would stay where they are now? Rates would be forced into redistribution, and again, the lower half of the country, including Georgia, would go up. The higher half of the country would probably save some money. My concern as Georgia Insurance Commissioner has to be with Georgians. Point number seven. Insurance policies have been regulated by the states for the states to control with oversight and regulatory authority. This is because the regulatory authority is based on intrastate commerce. As soon as we allow insurance policies to cross state lines with regulatory authority, it will become an interstate commerce issue. When it turns into an interstate commerce, the regulatory authority falls under the jurisdiction of the federal government and not the states. I do not support any expansion of power from the federal government. I have spent a great deal of time researching this issue. talking with various regulators, legislators, and insurance industry experts, and thinking through how it would really work. They all agree that in real life, this just won't accomplish anything favorable and actually could make things worse. Only those who don't have a working knowledge of the insurance industry seem to think this approach may work. That should tell you something right there.